Welcome to the what portion of the founding trilogy. So, we are going to be talking about Kaizen and the philosophy behind the program. Um, so, that is what we are going to be covering in the what. Um, so, hopefully, you kind of understand this entire thought process and the reasoning behind kind of what we're doing. So, the what why did I choose the Kaizen philosophy? What makes the Kaizen philosophy so special? And what are some of the things that you might be getting into in the actual Kaizen program itself? So let's start with the pillars uh, that we'll kind of be going into with Kaizen. Um, so there's three pillars of the program's built on. Starting with pillar one, which is kind of it's the neuroscience of small steps, right? So Kaizen philosophy, if you remember, means good change, continuous improvement, or 1% better every day, small wins, and that neuroscience of small wins is what triggers, or actually I should rephrase this, is large ambitions can sometimes trigger fear in our brain. Um, and small steps, small wins kind of bypass that. So when we break down some of the larger things that we want to do in life, like, maybe you want to run a 5K, maybe you want to, perform something in the, I don't know, I'm using physical examples because I think physical examples can sometimes be very hard to achieve. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about, where my mind is at. Is you do those things in incremental steps, right? Maybe you start off with a jog around the block, and then you upgrade yourself to running a 1K, and then you upgrade and kind of go and so on from there. So small steps, rather than saying I'm going to run a 5K, and then you're just going to run the 5K. Like that's it. You're just going to start running it, and maybe that is something that scares you a little bit, and you stray away from that, and then maybe you never run the 5K. So that's pillar one. Pillar two is deliberate practice, and there's a theory out there which you can look up, and it's the 10,000 hour theory, basically saying that you master something when you hit 10,000 hours of it. So you have small wins, deliberate practice, 10,000 hours. They're saying that in that, the 10,000 hours only counts if you're studying what you do and not just repeating it. So you can repeat those things, and that actual thing can be daunting when you think about it. But if you break down 10,000 hours into kind of its little pieces, you can kind of see where we're getting at. Is it doesn't require too much time per day. It's we're going to draw that out over the course of many years. And then pillar three is going to be the Socratic Method, which I've mentioned in the past, which is genuine knowledge is drawn out through questioning, and it's not going to be poured in through instruction. So I kind of talk about this in the sense of back in school, right? Think about, maybe you're in school right now, but think about a little bit if you haven't been in school for a while. Um, think about when your teacher would just be talking at you, and all that knowledge being poured into you. And maybe you're like, you know what? I don't really want to pay attention in class. I think we often find ourselves not wanting to pay attention, not because we don't want to learn, or that could also be the case, is that we don't want to learn. Um, but it's just that sometimes it can get a little bit boring, and you're not gaining the value from the class because you don't see the value in knowing that knowledge. So that's kind of it being poured like into you rather than it being drawn out of you. It's not like you're learning something from um, a book. Or your teacher's asking you a specific question. It's just something that you're absorbing because it's being thrown at you, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But these three together form the complete philosophy of learning that I like, really, that has never really been articulated in my kind of teaching or in my experience. So that's kind of what this program is going to be. Those three pillars, and that's how we're going to achieve what we're going to achieve, which is your dreams. And I'm just going to keep saying that is, we are going to achieve your dreams. So there's 4 acts of the Kaizen sprint of the program. There is excavate, express, examine, and own it. Those are the 4 core acts of the sprint. So let's start from the top. What is excavate? Excavate is what we're going to do to the floor of this house, which is we're going to remove all this dirt, basically. And in terms of how that applies to you, we will be removing everything that is not you so that we can see what remains. And that is going to be whatever that is. It's going to be the who am I? That's the question we're answering. Who am I? So remove everything. Remove whatever outside noise there is. When you strip away everything, what's left? Who is that? That's what we want to know. The core, the fundamental you. Then we'll move over into the express. So this is going to be learning to hear your voice through AI. So this is kind of like that core thing. It's number one, we're going to establish your voice. We have to learn, kind of how we sound. Number two, we'll try to take that and see how do we get that through using our instruments. And that question is, what do I actually think? So that's the question we'll be answering there. Then we'll go into examine. And this is going to be, question your own outputs and assumptions with that Socratic rigor, right? And that question is, what is actually true? And, in a world where headlines are just trying to get you to click, where there's so much deception, it's hard to know what's true. So we're going to examine our own thoughts. We're going to examine our own outputs and assumptions, and we're going to see what's true and what's not. And then lastly, we'll wrap it up with own it. And this is going to be assembling all of our evidence and entering the practice. So this is not a question that we answer. This is kind of the answer to that question is, I know who I am. So each week you're not just gaining a skill, but we're also going to be shifting some things inside of you in order to achieve this. So it's really going to push you and question you, and kind of it's going to be a little uncomfortable. I'll say it's going to be uncomfortable. So those are the types of things that we'll be going through with the 4 acts of the Kaizen sprint. Next in our how is the self-discovery, and why we lead with the self-discovery and why AI is just kind of tagging along. So most programs out there are just going to lead with AI, and then at the end of that they just kind of hope, well, because you learned how to use AI, like that's the personal development side of it, and they're just going to hope that you gained something from it, and go from there. So really the personal development at the end of the day was that you used AI, and now you have that as a skill, and there you go, personal development, boom. But that's backwards. I think that's a backwards way of thinking, and that's why we're going to start with discovering who you are, how you think, and what are the things that are actually true to you. So if you don't know yourself clearly, then AI is just going to amplify your confusion. And that's just that's what it's really going to do is if you don't know yourself, if you don't know what you're aiming for, it's just going to amplify that. And we could be on a total wrong trajectory in life, and we'll just continue down that path because number one, AI is extremely gratifying. So it's not going to point out when you're wrong. It's just going to say, "Wow, that's an amazing thought," um, and it's just gonna gaslight you into thinking that like you're a genius. Um, and we all are smart in our own ways. You know, I'm not smart at math or science, but um, you know, I like to think that I'm smart in other ways of like creativity and um, all that kind of fun stuff. So if you just don't know yourself, then it's going to start steering you down the wrong road, and we're just going to be happily driving down that road until you know it abruptly ends and we fall off. What is up with all the animals lately just wanting to be in my face? Um, Second is that this sprint is not going to be like a huge transformation, right? This sprint is going to be the ignition. It's not going to have an end, right? So like when we say after it's because it's 4 weeks, um, so it's about it's like a 28-day sprint or so. Um, but when we say that like this is done, it's really just the beginning. There's no end to your self discovery. There's no end to self improvement. We just keep going, and we'll just keep going until we don't, basically, to put it in a nicer way. Um, and this is just going to ignite that curiosity. And then we're going to take you into the garden, because the garden will actually be a space, a platform where you can go and talk to people that are like-minded, and you can go and gauge their own personal experience against yours, and talk about different things together. And it'll be a shared space um, where we can talk about all the different wins and where we are with our goals and our dreams, and just empower each other to continue to be better. Um, so that I don't want you to get the assumption that this whole Kaizen sprint, this whole program that you'd sign up for with the interest form down in the description, um, is going to transform you. It's just going to light that spark. So there's also something called the 2190 rule. 21 days forms a habit, and 90 days makes it a lifestyle. So what we'll do in this sprint is that we're going to cross that threshold, right? We are going to form the habit, and then from that, you'll continue the lifestyle. And if we find through some feedback that maybe we needed to up that a little bit, then we can. We'll make sure that everybody gets the benefit from the program, because I want to make sure that this stuff sticks, and that's the most important thing. Um, so we will make sure that you actually have something worth your time and walking away with. We're gonna figure out like your own personal brand, your values. We'll make sure that you have a playbook. We'll have a before, right? So we'll talk about how you were before starting the program, and how you have evolved over time. Um, this is not only going to be kind of like a certificate of attendance. It's kind of documented proof that proof of self. It's documented proof of self knowledge in kind of that visible state. So like it's not just going to be in your mind intangible. Like you'll have a tangible thing to show people if you want to. And then you'll have the ability to walk into any interview. You'll answer any question, and that'll be from a place of just genuine reflection, an examination, and not something that you rehearsed. So it'll be something where you are just you just know, because this is what you've done, this is what you've gone through, and it comes from that understanding. Lastly, um, we'll give you something that has absolutely nothing to do with AI, and that is a way of thinking about change that will carry for the rest of your life. Um, no matter what happens, you will have the comfort in in yourself. Like, you will become a place of comfort because you understand yourself, and you understand yourself so well that no matter what happens, you will find a home within yourself. And that's really kind of the big takeaway. Um, more more beneficial, more valuable than anything that I could show you with AI or anything like that is having that knowledge and comfort of yourself, and being able to sit with yourself and say, you know what, I got this. I'm okay. If you happen to get laid off, if um, AI takes your job, like, you will be okay, because we will prep you for that. And by prepping you for that and teaching you self knowledge, um, that's how we find that home within ourselves. And I don't want to fearmonger or say anything, because I hate fear mongering. So I don't want to say that AI will take your job, but um, the future is an uncertain place, and I would much rather be prepared by knowing my skill set, by knowing what I can do, by knowing what I bring to the table, so that I can effectively pivot and change my own life around. So that's where I'm trying to get at, is really the kind of the main idea here. So and you can let me know down in the comments below if I should do this birch flooring here, because I might just stick with this. I think this looks kind of nice, if I do say so myself. But we do have to plant some of our birch trees. Did we not get birch saplings? Okay, back on track, Luca. So, wow, we actually hit 20 minutes already. But yeah, that's really the how we're gonna do all this. And to recap, the 3 pillars: small wins, deliberate practice, and drawing that knowledge out of you, because I believe in you. I believe you are smart enough. I believe you are capable of doing what you set your mind to. Um, I'm living proof of that, because I believe in myself. I believe that I can do this. I believe that this is something that I can build, and I hope that resonates, and I hope that you feel the same way about yourself. And if you don't, then know that I believe in you. So you're not alone. If you feel alone, you're not alone. There's a big world out there. There's a ton of people in it, and you're listening to one that believes in you. So let's work on that. We can, and it doesn't have to be something that you give up on because you think you're not good enough. You are good enough, and you can do what you set your mind to, and we can do hard things. So I will leave you with that, on a packed day 2 of the trilogy. And then we will be going over the why tomorrow. So this is kind of why I'm doing things. And this is kind of, this whole thing is my golden circle. So that is going to wrap up the trilogy, and then we'll be going into the rest of our series here. And let's just take a second to reflect on what we've been able to do. And like this house, not too shabby, very nice. I'm enjoying it. It's going to become a home, and we're gonna make sure this place is banging. So I will leave you guys with that. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a great day, depending depending on when you're watching this. If it's nighttime, I hope you have a nice little sleep, get a nice 8 hours of rest, and tackle the day tomorrow. And join me again for the why portion of this founding trilogy. And then we're just going to take a dive right in. So buckle up. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So let's wrap up our floor and give it a little sign off. So yeah, just thanks again, and stick around. Drop a subscribe if you're not subscribed and you've been here for the first couple episodes. Share this with somebody who might be in a similar place to you, and take this journey together, because it's always good with a buddy. And just keep going. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.